My husband bought a new suit. Said he had a job interview. I wished him luck. Then I saw his car parked outside a restaurant with candles on the table. He said it was a client meeting. I waited until they finished dessert. Then I walked over and said, "Can I join the interview?" It was a Tuesday morning in late April, and the sun had just begun to peek through the blinds of our modest home in Greenville, South Carolina. I was sipping my coffee when my husband, Mark, walked into the kitchen wearing a brand new navy blue suit. "Got a big interview today," he said, adjusting his tie in the mirror. "That's great, honey. Where's it at?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Just a local firm downtown. They called me in last minute." I smiled. "Good luck." He kissed me on the cheek and headed out the door. I watched as he drove away in his silver sedan, the one with the dent on the rear bumper from last winter. Around noon, I decided to run some errands. As I drove past Main Street, I noticed Mark's car parked outside La Bellevue, a fancy French restaurant known for its romantic ambience. Curious, I parked across the street and watched through the window. There he was, sitting at a candlelit table with a woman I didn't recognize. They were laughing, sharing a bottle of wine, and holding hands across the table. My heart sank. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and confusion. I waited until they finished their dessert. As the waiter brought the check, I walked into the restaurant, my heels clicking against the marble floor. "Can I join the interview?" I asked, standing beside their table. Mark's face turned pale. The woman looked shocked. "This isn't what it looks like," Mark stammered. "Really? Because it looks like you're on a date." He tried to explain, but I wasn't interested. I turned and walked out, leaving them both speechless. Back home, I packed Mark's belongings into suitcases and left them by the door. When he returned, I handed him the divorce papers. "I never meant to hurt you," he said, tears in his eyes. "But you did, and now it's over." A few weeks after Mark moved out, I started getting strange messages. At first, it was just texts from an unknown number. "You think you're better off without him? He didn't deserve what you did." Then came the emails. Anonymous. Cold. Accusing me of ruining a good man's life. The sender called themselves Truth Seeker 87. I blocked everything, but they kept finding new ways to reach me. I wasn't scared yet, but something in my gut told me this wasn't random. Someone was watching me. Her name was Serena. I found out from a mutual friend. She wasn't just some woman Mark picked up. She was his coworker from his last job, his assistant. Younger, sure. Stylish. But there was more to her than just a pretty face. I did a little digging, nothing illegal, just some social media scrolling, and found out she had been married. Divorce finalized 2 months before she started working with Mark. But her ex-husband? He posted a long rant on Facebook after the divorce. Said she was a manipulator. A liar. That she ruined his career and bled him dry. I read every word, my heart thumping. Something about her felt off. One night, around 11:30 p.m., there was a knock at my door. It was Serena. She looked rough. No makeup, hair a mess, eyes swollen like she'd been crying for hours. "I need to talk," she said. I didn't invite her in, but I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. "I didn't know he was married," she said, almost whispering. "He told me you'd separated. He said you were the one cheating." I just stared at her. "He said he loved me," she continued. "But lately, he's been different. Controlling. Angry." That part hit me hard. I'd seen that side of Mark years ago. I ignored it then, called it stress. Maybe I shouldn't have. "I'm sorry," she said, backing away. I just needed to say it. And then she left. The next day, I got a call from Mark's sister, Alyssa. We weren't close, but she was always nice to me. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I'm fine." "Why?" "There's something I think you should know," she said. Turns out, Mark wasn't just seeing Serena. He was seeing 2 other women. One in Charlotte, one in Atlanta. He had a whole system, told each of them he traveled for work, used different names, even kept separate phones. He's been doing this for years, Alyssa said. Since before you even married him. My knees went weak. I sat down on the kitchen floor, phone still pressed to my ear. You deserve to know, she said. I'm sorry it took me so long to tell you. A few days later, I got another message from Truthseeker87. Stop digging. You won't like what you find. This time, the message included a photo. It was a picture of me walking out of the grocery store. Taken from a distance. My face was clear, but the background was blurry. Someone was following me. That night, I didn't sleep. I locked every door and window, kept the lights on, and sat on the couch clutching a baseball bat. She showed up again the next morning. This time, she had bruises on her arms. He lost it last night, she said. He accused me of talking to you. He smashed my phone. I had to run. I let her in. Made her tea. She sat on my couch, shaking. I think he's dangerous, she said. I think he's done this before, maybe even worse. We made a pact that day. We were going to expose him. Not just to the women he lied to, but to everyone. But we had no idea just how far he would go to stop us. 2 days after Serena moved into my guest room for safety, a man knocked on my door. Tall, well-built, late 30s. He looked exhausted. You don't know me, he said, but I think we have something in common. His name was Troy. He was the fiancé of the woman Mark had been seeing in Charlotte, Jenna. She left me 3 weeks ago, Troy said, stepping inside with shaking hands. Said she met someone who finally treated her right. Guess who? He'd gone through Jenna's emails and found messages from someone calling themselves Mason. Photos. Dinners. Hotel stays. But when he saw one picture of Mason, Troy's jaw dropped because it was Mark. Our Mark. I traced the phone number from one of the texts. It came back to your husband. Well, ex-husband. We sat at the kitchen table, me, Serena, and Troy, swapping stories, timelines, receipts, photos. It was like putting together a disgusting jigsaw puzzle. That's when Troy pulled something out of his backpack, a USB drive. I found this on her laptop before I left, he said. I didn't even mean to, but it was open. It was full of audio recordings. We plugged it in and started listening. Mark's voice. Clear as day. Telling Jenna to lie about where he worked. Coaching her on what to say if she got called by some crazy ex. Then more recordings of phone calls with other women. Fake names. False stories. In one, he even mentioned using a burner phone to keep them off balance. Serena froze. One of the voices in a recording was hers. He'd been recording her, too. Later that week, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a manila envelope. It had a flash drive. A photo of me and Serena talking on my porch. And a printed note. You think you're clever? You've seen nothing yet. We all watched the footage on the flash drive together. It was us, in my living room, talking about what to do next. It was filmed from inside the house. That's when Serena screamed. He was here. He's been in here. I ran to the closet in the hallway. The attic hatch was open. Mark had broken into my house. We called the police. Filed a report. But without clear evidence of him installing a camera or being present when the footage was taken, they said there wasn't much they could do. So we set a trap. Troy had a friend who worked private security. Together, we wired the house with real cameras, this time ours. Every room, every window, every point of entry. We even left a back window cracked open, just enough to tempt him. And we waited. 3 nights later, at 3:22 a.m., he showed up. Slipped in through the cracked window like a shadow. Wearing gloves. A hoodie. Holding something. He made it into the living room. Looked around. Went to the shelf where Serena had kept her phone charging. Then we turned on the lights. Troy stepped out with his phone camera rolling. I was holding my phone, already calling 911. Mark froze. Tried to run. But we'd locked every exit. He was arrested right there in my living room. Turns out, This wasn't his first break-in. He'd done it to at least one other ex in Atlanta. Police there had a report, but not enough proof to press charges. Until now, they found his burner phones, his fake IDs, even copies of contracts from companies that never hired him. He'd faked job interviews to get away for weekends with his various girlfriends. Serena pressed charges for harassment and stalking. I filed for a restraining order and handed over everything, the videos, the photos, the messages. Troy? He moved on. Said the whole thing made him rethink everything about trust. But he thanked me for not turning him away. Serena stayed a few more weeks. We cooked together, cried a little, and slowly started feeling like human beings again. But we knew this wasn't over. Mark made bail. And when he did, I got another message. You may have won this round, but you better watch your back. After Mark made bail, I didn't sleep for days. I changed my locks, got cameras installed by pros, bought a dog from a rescue shelter, a big, loud shepherd mix named Bear who didn't like strangers. But the fear sat in my bones like a winter chill. And then the fire came. Literally. One morning, just before dawn, I walked outside to get the paper and smelled it. Burnt plastic. My mailbox had been torched. Still smoking. Taped to the charred wood was another note. You'll be next. That was it. I wasn't waiting around for the justice system to act. They'd let him walk out before. I couldn't trust them to keep him away this time. I called Serena, Troy, and even Jenna, the woman from Charlotte. She picked up after the second ring. Are you in? I asked. Her voice was low. After what he did to me, let's bring the bastard down. We made a plan. Serena would reach out to Mark. Pretend she regretted everything. Say she missed him. Say she wanted to talk. We knew he'd fall for it. He always fell for praise. The meeting spot was her idea, her cousin's empty lake house near Asheville, North Carolina. Private, off-grid. No neighbors for a half-mile. We wired it with cameras, microphones, the whole setup. Troy brought more gear from his security buddy. We wanted him to admit it. All of it. Not just for us. But so we could hand it to the police and make sure the other women knew too. But I also had one more plan of my own. Mark showed up right on time, dressed like he was heading to a date. Serena greeted him with a fake smile, let him inside. The cameras caught everything. She asked about the other women. He bragged. She asked about the messages, the stalking, the break-ins. He laughed. Called us weak. She pushed more. He said the words we were waiting for. You think I can't find you again? I've been in your houses. You'd never see me coming. I know everything. I planned it all. We had it. Confession on tape. Audio. Video. Proof. I stepped out from the back room. Troy followed. Mark's face changed fast, went from cocky to scared in seconds. You're done, I said. He lunged at me. Troy tackled him to the floor like a linebacker. Serena sprayed him in the face with pepper spray for good measure. He howled, rolled, cursed. We let him crawl outside, where the police were waiting. Mark was charged with stalking, harassment, breaking, and entering arson. They traced the mailbox to him through a gas receipt and a witness. Threats of violence this time. The judge didn't grant bail. Serena filed a lawsuit for emotional damage and privacy invasion. So did Jenna. Me? I got peace. But here's the part where I admit something, too. I let it go on too long. I ignored the red flags for years. The way he lied. The way he always had a story. The time he came home smelling like perfume and said it was a client's wife who hugged him. I believed him because I didn't want to lose the life we had. But the truth is, the life we had was fake. All of it. And maybe, in some way, I'm partly to blame for not standing up for myself sooner. Mark was sentenced to 8 years in prison. 8 years for all the lives he played with like toys. For the lies. The threats. The fear. I showed up to his sentencing. Looked him in the eye as the judge read the charges. He didn't look at me once. Outside the courtroom, Serena stood beside me. Jenna too. Troy nodded from the hallway. We weren't broken anymore. We weren't victims anymore. We were survivors. And we had each other's backs now. Before we left, I whispered something to Mark's back as he was taken away in cuffs. This was your last interview. And I meant it.